Thanks a lot, Charlie. I'm Bryan Bastin here at the Renegades Analytics Desk. And yes, that was a hard game to watch. The Nashville Predators fell to the Arizona Coyotes 4-1 in a game that pretty much seemed like Nashville was really never in it. And you look at some of the numbers, and that agrees with what we saw in the eye test. Defensively, one of Nashville's worst games of the season at all situations. If you wanted to look at, like, for example, they have given up that was the third most expected goals they've given up all season at 5.38. It was the fifth most shots against that they've given up. And so you realize that, like, defensively, yes, not great. However, they did give up the third most expected goals, but yet UC Saros did still have a positive goals saved over expected. But what's the point? I'm not going to come here and tell you that this team, minus Philip Forsberg and Ryan Johansson, without guys like Mikael Granlund and Matthias Ekholm, all these people that have gone, this is a skeleton team. This is something made up of parts, scraps made from a cave, like they say in Iron Man. And so, yeah, Nashville was a little bit, well, they weren't Iron Man tonight, and it was pretty rough. But was there a silver lining to this game? Was there something about this game that made it different than just another, they got blown out and everybody was upset? I think there might have been. And that's going to be the topic of tonight's One Big Stat. Now, you can talk about luck, puck luck, all that type of thing. You see a player shoot 20% one year and then drop back down to 9%, which he averaged his whole career. You'd say, yeah, that year he got lucky. Or you could call that finishing. But one of the things that you can use, and the way that these things are set up, is look at the expected goals in a game. Now, over time, if you look at teams, with the way that these models are built, is the number of expected goals should get pretty close to the number of actual goals the team scored. Now, if you start to see where a team has a lot more goals than expected goals, for example, if we want to look at, take a look at the last game against Arizona. They did very, very well, even though they had low expected goals, which doesn't, bode well for them because, they got kind of lucky or they beat a bad goaltender. But what happened tonight? Obviously, this is his first NHL game of this season. You know how Nashville's cursed by backup goalies. Well, this was a backup goalie. And so, of course, he played probably the best game in his career, one of a handful of in his career. But was Nashville all that bad offensively? Now, we've seen since these rookies came in, after the deadline, we've seen this team be a lot more loose, a lot more fun and gun, if you will. They give up a lot of defense, but they're peppering the net a whole bunch. They're getting lots of high-quality chances, and sometimes they're turning it into goals. And that was actually the case tonight. And that was the case. Nashville had Nashville had the highest expected goal total that they have accrued all season. They had more expected goals in this 60-minute game loss to Arizona than any other game this season, including games that went to overtime. So how do we want to measure, and what does this have to do with luck? Well, we did say more goals than expected goals means they probably got lucky. On the other hand, if you've got a ton of expected goals and very few actual goals, well, either the goalie you're playing was playing out of his mind or you were just plain unlucky. And I'm going to say that the Predators were extremely unlucky tonight. Let's take a look at this graph here. As you can see, those ones in blue and dark blue are wins. Light blue is ties, and orange are losses. But here's the thing. Overall, what you see is that the more expected goals the team gets in all situations, the more likely it is they're going to win. In fact, tonight was the first time all season that Nashville had 4 or more expected goals in a game and lost that game. That's very, very unlucky. Now, yes, again, is it unlucky that they lost the game? Not necessarily. If you play a defense like that, you're probably not going to win anyways. But this isn't what this team was unluckier than it has been all season long. It's a difference of 4.63 goals if you look at goals over expected. So they had the worst, and they should have scored 4.5 more goals, but they didn't. All they got is 1. I mean, if you look at Cody Glass did have a goal tonight, but he had 2.5 expected goals by himself, and that's a pretty huge total for a single game. So even guys like him, Luke Evangelista, they were all getting plenty of great shots. I think Natural Stat Trick said they had 19 high danger chances. They just couldn't get it past the goalie. And, you know, you got to give it to this team. They're not going to be good defensively. When they had all the players, they had Matthias Ekholm, the team was bad defensively, so they're only going to get worse. But they were fun and exciting on offense, and tonight, well, that fun and excitement just wasn't enough. But if I'm John Hines and company, I look at this team and say, you know what? Not bad. You did everything you possibly could, and you just couldn't get it past the goaltender. Not a bad game. But I don't think not a bad game is what anybody's going to think about this game. But I wanted to give the Predators a little bit of credit, and that's tonight's One Big Stat.